The safety of our children in school is of utmost importance. While we go to work every day, we trust that our kids will be safe while away from home. Recently, though, mass shootings have been occurring more and more frequently in places from theaters to our very schools that house our children 5 days a week. In these areas, we must have some way to ensure that they stay safe. The people being armed and protected is the only real solution, paired with counseling for troubled students who tend to be the perpetrators. Some solutions for protecting our children while at school have come to surface, including gun-free zones. The objective of this is to deter people from bringing firearms into the premises, while the average gun-owning, law-abiding citizen would disarm themselves to abide by these rules. Would an already would-be criminal do the same? When a criminal is looking at a place to target for something as a mass shooting or robbery, they want a place of least resistance. All gun-free zones spell for a criminal is nobody will shoot back. This puts all our children in an area where they cannot defend themselves, and neither can the teachers. I believe that the gun-free zones, while on paper they do sound good, do not truly work in a real-world scenario. After all, if someone were to commit such a heinous crime such as a mass shooting, they're not going to be worried about an extra charge being placed on them. The biggest problem with creating gun-free zones is that you're stripping away the right for someone to defend themselves. Timothy Hossio, a professor at Graham University, states how he refuses to let himself and his own students become victims to a crime such as that. Carrying a concealed weapon on campus is not so different than carrying a concealed weapon in a mall or convenience store. Really, the only difference between a campus and any other place is that it's especially popular with children and students. When someone chooses to carry a weapon in order to defend themselves from any and all oncoming threats, it is protected by our government by the Second Amendment. And the only reasonable way to strip someone of their right on campus will be to provide an equal and ample way to defend each and every person just as they could defend themselves with their own weapons. This, of course, is an unreasonable solution because police, they don't have the manpower to provide such a demand and such a security measure. Establishing armed personnel in schools is another suggestion that has come up and applied in many cases. School resource officers, or SORs, are officers stationed inside schools that have sworn to protect these schools. When SORs follow the guidelines that are given to them and have a passion for their job, it shows in providing a safe environment for students and faculty. SROs have shown success in programs such as the DARE program, which is the Drug Abuse Resistance Agency, and the GREAT program, which is the Gang Resistance Education Training. These sworn officers have shown to connect and bond with students and ensure they feel safe around them. They act as counselors, just as a counselor would act towards a student, and it gets to be more of a friendship bond, and the officers and students get to sort of understand what it is to be a police officer and what their duty is in the world. These officers are sworn in and must treat their job as such because it's more dangerous and there's a lot of people on the line with that kind of line of work. And the problem is that some people feel like it's violating the rights of the children and staff, and that's where an issue comes into SROs. But just as the self-defense of faculty members and students and the importance of SROs to ensure that those students stay safe and the faculty stay safe, the real cause to mass shootings is hurt children and people who have mentally been abused in their schools or at home, and they take it out in the schools, such as the Columbine shooting. So the real important mental issue is the mental health of the children. And SROs can fill this role and they can do their job, but what's really needed is a counselor that's dedicated to those students specifically, and that being their only job. There also needs to be some sort of outreach program for students to be able to trust in people and have a way to talk to people in a secure location where they don't have a chance to be ridiculed or criticized for their happenings. And there's too many times this has happened, and teachers ignored it, or there not been outreach programs where a student could have got help before coming to a point where they just break and do something as heinous as do a mass shooting at their school. And whether the problem is at home or school, it needs to be solved, and it's a big issue, and it needs a solution.